the market, the market is strong right now. It's definitely weird. Obviously with everything COVID related, I thought we'd be sitting here in the dark with the lights off and and hoping that people would buy cars. We were off a little bit in the very beginning, and then after that, it's just has been crazy. The demand for these cars is super high,
Yeah.
higher than I expected. And we're starting to see more and more. I mean, I think that we're going to see even more and more demand as far as like, in your 90s cars, because those are the cars that people around my age and in that range, those are the cars that we grew up with, and that, it's everything from like Fox body Mustangs to, IROCs and Camaros and Trans Ams and stuff like that, where, you know, those are the cars that people are going to want because, maybe
Yeah.
they're not as interested in the 69 Camaro or the Challenger or something like that, whereas some of these other cars that are in a certain price point, and, the Porsches are pretty far out and Ferraris and stuff like that. But I see the more stuff like this, like these, the different JDM cars and the different Mustangs and the different Camaros and the different Trans Ams being, the next cars that kind of go up from there. So,
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, what you kind of said about how it's kind of what people of like that kind of age range grew up wanting.
right.
I think you like the value of different cars is I think very dependent on that. There's
It
lots of other
is.
factors too, but like for
Right.
instance, like those are the sorts of cars I grew up idolizing. Those are the sorts of cars you were a fan of, and you
Yeah, and
know,
so there's definitely something to be so kind of where I fell on that and where I kind of really had a little bit of an epiphany about it was like I was at an auction a few years ago and there was like this 1917 Buick Brass Era car, right? Beautiful car, really nice looking car, all that kind of stuff, and it was about $7,000 or $8,000. The thing is, like, it's cool, but I don't really need it for $7,000. Like that's not very much money, but I'm not interested in it. It's
right,
cool. Like I appreciate it for what it is, but I would rather spend my $7,000 on something else, right? And the same token, when it gets into some of the, Camaros and Mustangs and all that stuff. Now there's certain of those cars that very much interest me. I mean, I love Superbirds and stuff like that. Like they're
oh
really
yeah,
cool. They're such a strange kind of thing, but only at a certain price point. I mean, I'm not going to pay all the money for one. I'm just not. I like them, but I don't like them that much. I mean,
right,
and so you're going to run into the same sort of thing where, again, even on these old cars where where we had like these guys who would buy these old Mustangs and Camaros and stuff, and then they resto mod them, right? Because the original cars aren't really that good. So they realize, oh, the steering sucks and the engines weren't that good, and the transmission sucks, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna spend the money on restomodding it. And so we're gonna see all this, that same thing. History repeats itself, and it's gonna repeat itself here.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely true.
It is going to repeat itself, and people are like, there seems to be a lot of people that don't think that, and I'm like, okay, there's gonna be somebody out there that there's gonna be a Fox notchback Fox Buddy Mustang with 500 miles, and it's gonna be 150 or 200 or $300,000 or something silly like that. And somebody's gonna say, "Oh, I have one of those, and I sold it for 3 grand," 15 years ago. And it's like, yeah, but that's the market today, because there's only two or three cars out there like this, and there's somebody who wants it really bad,
Yeah,
and you have to want it, and you have to want it, or actually, there's two people that want it really bad, and so if those two people are just going to keep bidding on it amongst themselves, then you're not going to be able to get it for 3 grand because the same, I mean, that's a lot of people don't auctions. A lot of people don't understand auction. So if there's an auction and there's something at the auction and it is $1,000, if you want it and I want it and you bid $1,000 on it, I can't bid $1,000 to buy it. I have to bid 1,001 or $1,000 and a penny or $2,000, right? So if I bid $2,000 and you want it, so you bid 3,000, right? And then I say, well, I want it more than you, so I'm going to bid 5,000. Now, so again, just because it started at 1,000, or even if it's sold for 1,000 or whatever at some point in time, at this particular moment in time, in order for me to buy that car, the two of us need to stop bidding against each other. And the
Yeah.
thing is that you end up with this this energy between people, I guess you could say, at auctions. Definitely is that one guy wants it worse than the other one, and whose bank is bigger than the other one, or what kind of number is he what kind of number is he gonna spend. And so, because I'll see guys say all the time, "Oh, I would have bought it for that at auction." I said, "No, you wouldn't have, because we would have had to keep bidding. Like you wouldn't have gotten it for 1,000, because at 1,000, I would have had to bid 1,001, and the other guy would have bid 1,002, and would have kept going until the point where you tell me that you want me to stop.
Right.
When do you want me to stop? Because I can keep going. Because I've got customers that said to me, bid to win. And bid to win means I have no limit. So I've bought cars recently for customers, and the customer told us bid to win, which means bid, 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 bid. We're not stopping.
Wow. So I guess then the
So,
customer can also say, "Here's the cap" as well.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but exactly, customer says, "Hey, I'm not going to pay any more than." So, you reach a little bit of a weirdness with that, is that you don't know where anybody's in particular endpoint is, right? So
Hmm.
if it's you, me, it's just say it's just us two, because it's less complexity. And this car's 10,000, and you just bid 10,000, and your end is 10,000, and my end is 10,000. At some point, I have to, even if I'm buying for you, if I put 10,1, are you going to put 10,2? Even though our cap is 10 grand, right? Your cap, my cap is 10 grand. And for my customer, is my customer going to be pissed off if I tell him, well, it sold for 10,000? Well, I told you my limit was 10,000, right? And it was 10,000. And I wasn't the last, I couldn't go any, you told me that was all I could bid, and that's what I bid. And it sold for 10,000, you know.
Right.
So, and our bid wasn't the high, the last bid. So I would have had to bid 10,001. Is that okay? Is 10, and so you reach this like kind of weird area. So you always have to like you have a little leeway, you know,
Sure.
unless the customer is like real hardcore, like that's all he really will spend. But again, if you and me are both on it at 10, you know, if I just had the last bid at 10, you have to decide if you want to bid 10-1
Right.
or 11 or whatever, So are you going to bid 10-1? Am I going to bid, if you bid 10-1, am I going to bid 10-2? And then are you going to bid 10-3? And then where do we stop? So, and that's the thing about, any auction is there's a point where you just, I mean, you're out, right? I mean, that's it. You're out. So, but a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand how auctions work, and everybody has their limit. Everybody has their realistic limit, but yeah, it was kind of crazy having bid to win though.
I bet. Well, I think for anyone, like if I'm sitting there watching what like or like the stereotypical hold up the sign,
Yep.
it starts to feel kind of unusual if you're doing it for someone else. I feel where you're just saying, okay, I'm just watching the number
Yeah,
go
but
up.
you just have you just know where they are and what they want. And obviously, when we do have, when we are buying cars for people at auction and stuff like that, the same, they have some limit, and then there's going to be, because there's always extra fees and everything else associated, right? I mean,
Sure.
especially depending on the more like classic car auctions and stuff like that. I mean, there's buyer fees, there's seller fees, there's you still got all transportation, blah blah blah, all these kinds of things. So just because you bid 10 on the car, well, there's a 10% buyer premium. So then the car's 11 actually. And then let's just say, oh, you told me you're going to pay me 10% too, for being your agent for whatever reason. Let's just say, stuff like that, where like, you don't want to bid, or you want me to bid, or, there's different different ways to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And again, there's some of the kind of negotiations and some of the deal behind, things. Because obviously, if we're buying because I buy cars to export too, right? And so, and a lot of that stuff's just for like flat fees, and then some of this other stuff, it's more, it's percentages based on what the car is. So,
Right.
and handling, depending on what we're handling for somebody and not, because sometimes we handle just a little tiny bit of it, and sometimes we handle everything, from the inspection to, obviously moving the car, shipping it, all the way through.
Right.
So there's it can be as complicated or as easy as you want it to be. So some people just want to write a check, and some people want to be involved in it from start to end. So
Yeah. Well, hey, cool. Lots of awesome information. I don't want to take up any more of your day.
sure.
I don't know. Zoom usually cuts me off, but I guess one of us has a membership or something. Usually it cuts people off after like an hour or something.
Really?
But
I don't know. Yeah, no. Not
um,
that as far as I know, but anyway.
well, hey, thank you for your time, man. We've had chats before, and I thought it'd be really cool to do this because our conversations are always very interesting, and you know,
Sure.
I
Well,
I'm a
hopefully,
I'm a
yeah,
secondary source of information, so
right. So hopefully people learn some stuff, and
yeah,
obviously there is information out there. They can't find it themselves, and then but a lot of it's confusing, and again, you're dealing with multiple agencies, multiple things, and so
yeah,
some of it is almost contrary to other information, so
yeah,
contradictory, really, So
yeah.
all right, Tom. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye. And now I will say goodbye to you guys. Thank you all for watching. If you're watching this as a member, you can watch the full. If you're a member, you get to watch this full interview, mostly full. There might be a couple things cut out, the sound of my child screaming and things like that. But if not, still, thank you very much for watching. Thank you to Sean as well for giving us this awesome information and great conversation. Lots of neat stuff to learn. Obviously, that is not everything you can learn, but, if you ever decide you want to work with Top Rank and buy a car, give their company a call, toprank.com, whether you're doing it in the US or Japan. The US site is importavehicle.com. Pretty good URL if you ask me. You'll learn a whole lot more when you decide that you want to get one of these cars. And I'm going to be honest, I really want to do business with them. I mean, obviously, but maybe a lot sooner than you guys are expecting. So, thank you all so much for watching. I am Tom, the Racing Joker. If you like what you have seen so far, but are not subscribed, fix that, because you'll love what I've got planned. Take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.